have a quorum. So we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming. This is a unprecedented number of people for our board meetings, which tonight is December 15th. It is 7:07 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. I would like to thank you all for coming tonight, both board members and stakeholders. As I mentioned at the end of last month's meeting, we don't usually meet in December because it's very difficult to get everyone together due to various holiday commitments, school programs, final exams. And I know that there's at least one campus that has this winter music program tonight, and I apologize that this meeting is conflicting with that. We had a limited time frame to work with when we were scheduling this special board meeting. Um, this is not a normal monthly meeting, and you will all notice that the usual committee reports and celebrations of green are not on the agenda. This is a special meeting that I have called as a chair because I have been hearing concerns from stakeholders across the system, and we need to meet as a board to listen to and address these concerns. This means that we're going to be hearing an update from our finance team, and then the board will be moving into executive session. We do not use executive sessions lightly. This is where the board moves so that we can discuss matters that require confidentiality, such as personnel matters, legal matters, and contractual matters. We will be coming back into open session afterwards, and if there are any action items, we will take a vote in public session. So we do not vote in an executive session, only in public session. Before we get started, I'd like to make a few remarks, and then we will get on to the numerous stakeholders that we have for public comments. I'd just like to address a few things. First off, I'd like to thank my board members for showing up here on a Monday night, which is not our normal night, in a month when we do not normally meet, because I know that you have taken your time out to be here, and it's important that we are here. I want to remind everyone else that's on this call that doesn't normally attend our calls that this board is comprised of volunteers, most of whom are parents or former parents of green students. We all joined the board for different reasons, but I can assure you that every member of this board wants to see green not just succeed, but thrive. We all care about green students and teachers and staff members. We celebrate green's victories and we mourn when there are failures. We have heard and read your concerns, your complaints, and your frustrations, and we even share in some of them. It would be disingenuous for me to sit here and tell you that everything is great right now when we're obviously going through some tough times. It would also be disingenuous for me to sit here and claim that the board is going to fix everything tonight because that's simply not possible. We are not employees of the school. We do not get paid to serve on this board. We do not benefit from serving on this board. We are also not the daily boots on the ground folks in our schools. I can say that I've actually gotten messages from people asking me what happened to this teacher or what sport is happening tonight in the gym. And I can tell you that I don't necessarily know because that's not really the board's role. There's a lot of misconceptions about the role of the board. We do not hire and fire people. We don't handle student discipline matters, and we do not select school's curriculum. That's the role of school administrators, school leaders, the executive director, teachers, and staff. The board governs by setting and adjusting policies and procedures. But it doesn't mean that we are deaf to stakeholders' feedback or concerns. We do listen to you and we do read your emails. We may not directly respond to emails, but we do often pass your thoughts along to the leaders in the school who are on the ground and are able to affect the daily operations. Board members, as a standard practice, are discouraged from engaging one-on-one and answering questions. It's not because we don't care. That's not what this is. It's more that we cannot foster a school culture where jumping the chain of command or accountability is the norm. If a parent writes an email and a board member steps in to bypass a teacher's recommendation or a school leader's policy, it erodes trust up and down the chain. This chain of accountability exists for a reason, and the board should be the final and rare step, not the starting point. Secondly, a single board member should not speak unless it is understood that they could be speaking for the board. And by doing that, without having the opportunity for the board to all confer, the single board member could be stripping the other campus's elected stakeholders their agency. We can't have that because we have to come together as a board to make sure that whatever policies are being done for one campus, they are also going to affect the other campuses. You may notice that we have a slogan around the school that says green for all and all for green. and that's not just a clever little slogan. It does mean that we are all tied together. We are not one individual school, but 7 individual schools that are all part of a system. They all have a unique culture. They all have unique school leaders. They all have unique challenges. The board is here to try to look at the entire system as a whole and not necessarily focused on one campus or one set of issues, but in all of them. We do try very hard. We try very hard to listen and to help where we can. But please understand that the first start for affecting change in this school is at the teacher level, and then at the school leader level, and then at the administrative level, and then at the board level, because that is what the chain is. I just wanted to give that little bit of overview because I've had a lot of people ask me what our role is and what we do. I feel like sometimes people don't understand because we're not the same as a private school. We're not the same as your big public school district down the street. We are accountable. We are elected by you. At the end of the day, you cast your vote as a stakeholder, just like I, as a stakeholder, cast my vote, and we are listening. And I do appreciate everyone for showing up here tonight. So, with that said, I am going to try to look at this list of public speakers. So I have emailed the public speakers who emailed me before the 3 o'clock deadline. And I have a list of 11 or 12 of them right here. I'm going to give the same, it's the same language I give with any public speaker, whether it's this meeting or 4 meetings ago or 5 meetings from now. And basically, the point of public comment, let me address this first. Our agenda typically limits us to 30 minutes for public comments. And never before have we had an issue where we wouldn't be able to get our public comments in for 30 minutes. We may have that issue tonight because we have so many people that want to speak. I am not inclined to cut people off, but I am going to make the point that this meeting is for the board. It is a public meeting. We do want to hear what you have to say, but we can't sit and listen to 2 hours of public comments and then go into a 2-hour meeting. We'll never get anything accomplished that way. So that is the reason why we have our 30-minute limit that we put. I think we can get these public comments done in 30 minutes. I'm going to do my best because, like I say, I really don't want to have to cut people off. But we do have some rules. So we welcome public comments. We welcome stakeholder feedback. We do put these rules in place though because we need everything to be respectful and timely. Public speakers are given 3 minutes to speak, and they are not allowed to cede their time to any other speaker. The board is not going to respond to public speakers, and the speaker is not allowed to ask board members questions and expect an answer, collectively or individually. The board does not permit speakers to reveal information regarding confidential matters such as legal matters, student discipline matters, or personnel matters. Those matters are a matter of confidentiality, and we can't allow that to be breached in our public meeting. Those things should really be taken up with administration directly because we don't handle personnel or student discipline matters. The board does not, it will not, doesn't, but will not tolerate hate speech or any kind of defamatory speech towards any green student, any teacher, any staff member, or any administrator. And if a speaker does that, then they will void the remainder of their time. And I, as the board chair, have the right to end the speaker's time at any time if they violate those board rules, above rules. Sorry, it's a tongue twister. I would also like to add in there, please keep it respectful to my fellow board members. We've had some pretty nasty feedback recently, and I would just ask that whatever is said be said in a respectful manner. And the same way that we teach our children to be respectful, we would expect ourselves to be respectful. So with that said, I'm going to call your name, and I'm going to hopefully be able to find you in this list and unmute you if you can't unmute yourself. Everyone else, I ask that you please stay muted. And so the first one is Kristen Livingston.
Good evening.
There you are.
My name is Kristen. and I'm the parent of an 8th grader who's been part of the Green system since elementary school. Over the years, our family has valued so many things about Green: strong teachers, meaningful friendships, supportive staff. We've also been aware of challenges with communication, and we've accepted those. But over the past year, these communication challenges have become significantly more concerning, particularly when it comes to transparency and financial stability. So I recognize that the system's navigating some ongoing legal matters and cannot comment on those issues, and those can't be discussed publicly. However, these events understandably raise questions among parents about leadership and decision making. Many parents expect clearer and more proactive communication this year, and instead we've received less. For an extended period, board meetings have been held virtually, and that limits meaningful parent engagement. During this time, the minutes of the board meetings have been fairly brief, with the majority noting that committees had no reports or no votes were taken. Under this environment, parents weren't informed of the financial challenges that resulted in staff reductions across campuses, and those were announced during open enrollment and shortly before Thanksgiving. This lack of clarity is really difficult to reconcile when we look at the annual report and publicly available financial information, which really emphasized enrollment growth and highlighted items like a 5.5% teacher pay increase. So when the official reports present a picture of stability, and families are seeing staff reductions, vendor issues, supply limitations, there's really a lot of uncertainty about the full financial condition. Parents have also heard reports about classrooms struggling to access basic supplies like paper, temporary suspension of employer retirement matches, disruptions with third party contractors, ongoing issues with outfitters. And so, while each of these issues may have explanations individually, when you take them together, and you combine it with limited communication, they contribute to this growing concern. And so when the communication is limited or it's delayed or it's unclear, it naturally undermines the confidence and trust that parents and staff and teachers are having. So I know we can't ask questions of you, but I'd like to relay questions that I think parents are seeking answers to, and we would expect to be forthcoming. And those are: first, what are the current financial condition of the school system, particularly for the Greenville campuses? Are they financially stable, and should families anticipate further changes? Two, when is the next independent external financial audit scheduled? What firm is going to conduct it, and how will the findings be made available? And then lastly, what concrete steps is the board taking to improve transparency and communication? At this point in closing, confidence among us is clearly strained to the point that people have thrown around the idea of a vote of confidence. And so we're asking respectfully but directly for factual answers to those questions.
Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker will be April Smith.
Oh, wow.
Mandy, could you mute your microphone when the people are speaking? That's echoing really bad. Sorry to jump in.
Sure. Sorry.
Hi. Um, so my name is April. I'm a parent at Green Charter Middle School. And before I begin, like Kristen, I want to clarify that I understand no questions will be answered tonight, and I'm here just really to voice concerns for all of us. Um, so I'm really here to speak on behalf of Green Charter families who really appreciate the extraordinary efforts our teachers and staff do every day. They're really the heart that makes our school special, and it's really made an impact in our children's lives. Um, so let me do that let me give you 3 examples. Like at the Simpsonville campus, we've got Patty Barker. She teaches all day, and then on Wednesdays she gives her time in the afternoon to coach speech and debate, and then on Saturdays she gives up her Saturdays to be there at tournaments from 7:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon because she loves the kids. And then at our campus at the middle school, I'm going to recognize Miss Young. She's my daughter's English teacher. My daughter's always hated to read. She's never loved it. But now my daughter has stolen my Kindle just so that she can read the next book in the series that they just started, even though they're not going to read it. And then we've got teachers like Miss Jameson at our school. She's a math teacher. My daughter's always hated math, but she's encouraged her and other students to really challenge themselves to do higher level math, and then even offers to help them in the mornings if they struggle, even though she's not even their teacher anymore. So I say all that because these are just a couple of examples of teachers that go above and beyond for our kids. Like, our campus is wonderful. We've got great staff and teachers. But with that, we feel a deep loss, and we're pretty sad over the loss of the individuals that really made us happy to be green. And as parents, we're extremely concerned that the current climate of insecurity, whether it's due to staffing reduction, financial concern, basic lack of supplies that teachers need to teach our students, yeah, that'll make teachers either leave, or we won't be able to get decent teachers to replace who leaves. So, and then when we're told mid enrollment that staff is being cut back due to financial concerns, and then we realize the school lacks basic supplies, really all we can do is have our imagination to fill in the blanks, and then the resulting picture is just serious instability. So, frankly, the rising insecurity is deeply impacting the future of our student body. Many of the families I know are actively considering withdrawing their students mid-year or over the summer if teachers leave or concerns aren't addressed. And these are really the parents and families that show up, volunteer, and make a difference at the school. So, if there's really no visible positive change and are in a way of stability, stabilizing our staff and having necessary resources, I really think that enrollment's going to suffer. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Make sure I'm unmuted. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Okay, our next speaker is Mr. Chris Watts. You mute.
There we go. Good evening, members of the community and the Green Charter Board. Like Mandy said, my name is Chris Watts. I was a Green employee for 6 years. I was one of the first teachers of the year at the high school. Tonight, though, I'm not here in that capacity. I'm here in a much more important capacity. I'm a very proud father of 2 Green Charter School students at the Simpsonville campus, my son in 4th grade and my daughter in kindergarten. So I want to begin by first expressing genuine gratitude to Principal Warner, the teachers at Green across all the campuses, the staff at all the campuses. I know you work tirelessly every day to create a place where children feel supported, known, and able to grow. However, based on publicly available information, I am deeply concerned, like many of the parents here, about decisions that appear to be affecting the school's ability to function effectively. In our home, my wife and I teach our children that actions have consequences. When you make harmful choices or even honest mistakes, you take ownership and work to correct them. That standard should apply to everyone, regardless of their position in life. Tonight, I want to focus on 2 observable impacts. First, instructional consistency. Teachers and administrators are clearly doing everything within their power, but stability becomes impossible when staff are stretched so thin that teachers, and by many public accounts, even students, are cleaning buildings, covering gaps, absorbing extra duties on top of already demanding days. This pulls time and energy away from learning and affects children both academically and emotionally. And then, of course, second, as has already been brought up, staffing shortages. These are not mere inconveniences. They're very harmful. When any school experiences significant layoffs, substitute shortages, gaps in required special education services, and inadequate operational staffing, the consequences fall on the children and those dedicated staff trying to serve them. When conditions like these arise, accountability and transparency become a non-negotiable. Families deserve clear communication about how these decisions are made and how taxpayer dollars are being utilized effectively. For the holiday season are the teachers, the staff, and the students who show up every day working harder and harder toward the school's success. Thank you so much for your time. Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. Okay. My next speaker is Emily Whittem. I hope I said that right. Emily, did you hear me? Emily Whittem, you're the next speaker?
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure if I was muted or unmuted, but
Okay.
I'll mute you.
All right, thanks. All right, so my name is Emily Whittem and I've been teaching at Green. This is my 7th year. This school has absolutely been my favorite place to work at in all of my 21 years of my teaching career. I'm not here to spread rumors or gossip, but there is a lot of that floating around in our schools and within the community. Instead, I want to address and share concerns with changes that I've seen this year, so facts, not rumors, that are quite unsettling. Number one, this year we've all noticed obvious financial cuts being made, many of which trickle down into our classrooms. Some of these cuts include rationed copy paper. We no longer have a set grade level fund like in past years, and even stipends previously given to teachers for extracurricular activities or for taking on leadership roles like grade level chair seem to be a thing of the past. I'm grateful that we have an amazing PTO at our school that helps fulfill teachers' grants as a way to counterbalance these obvious spending freezes. Number two, field trips are not being paid in a timely manner. This year, the day before our planned field trip, we were informed that we might not be going after all because the invoice was never paid, even though all money had been collected a month prior. When these kinds of errors happen, it makes us and our school look bad. Unfortunately, my grade level isn't the only one this happened to this year. Number three, administration and teacher cuts mid-year. Unlike bigger school districts, we've never had contracts here at Green Charter, and as long as we were doing our jobs, I felt safe. However, with recent layoffs happening with zero forewarning to staff, this has created much tension in our school, and everyone is left wondering who's next. Number four, we received a notice on December 5th from Tom Cronin that they will suspend the employer portion of our retirement contributions for the remainder of the fiscal year. We are already in a difficult place recruiting teachers by not offering state retirement. We have always been able to boast that we offer match 3% or 7% for retirement, but with this sudden cut, what new teachers will trust our 403B retirement plan? And lastly, number five, disappearance of custodial staff. By Wednesday, we were told to bag up our trash and put it in the hallway. No explanation, just directions. By Thursday morning, my classroom had not been swept. There was trash on the floors and I still had snack crumbs scattered all around my classroom. Our classrooms must be getting cleaned, especially during this heightened flu season. Now that I have shared my concerns from a teacher perspective, I want you to know that a lack of transparency has caused rumors to flow and our reputation is now tarnished. Parents and teachers outside of the Green Network are talking about and asking questions on social media regarding the downfall of Green. Perhaps my biggest concern at this point is how will we be able to recruit teachers? They have now heard of sudden firings due to budget cuts, retirement contributions being cut, and financial setbacks, none of which is enticing enough to pull experienced teachers in our direction. I speak not only for myself, but for also many teachers at Green who feel this same way. We need transparency because no one is feeling secure right now. And in closing, an apology can go a long way, but an apology also admits some kind of shortcoming or mistake. I haven't heard any apologies from those making these tough decisions, so that might be a good place to start. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Whittem. Next is Sarah Erb. Sarah, I think you're on the call.
Hello. Hi, my name is Sarah. I fear I'm going to echo a lot of what you've heard, but just from my own perspective. I'm a parent at Green. I've been a very proud supporter of Ms. Fitz and the entire staff at Green Pelham. I am so pleased with the work that our teachers and our staff do, which is why we've returned year after year. And it's also why I want to use my time to raise concerns that I feel will directly and negatively impact our students, our teacher, and ultimately the Green environment, and as Ms. Whittem said, the reputation at large. Green has a history of not being transparent, a theme I'm hearing tonight. And I would like the board to know that we depend on you to hold central office and leadership accountable to all financial and personnel decisions. Through public documents, publicly available documents, we see the way that headquarters is well paid and well cared for and has continued to even grow and expand and create new professional positions. But my concern is that the teachers, staff, and basic supplies like paper and staples and pencils, among other things, are not being met in the name of this growth at the top. We've seen layoffs happening in positions our school very much depend on for its basic function in the name of these cutbacks. And yet I wonder if anyone at central office has had their benefits cut, their hours, their staff, or their salaries have been cut. We're being asked as parents, as stakeholders, to pay unusually inflated fees for field trips, extra school supplies, and now even annual school fees on top of any extracurricular fees or athletic fees that keep coming our way from the Green leadership. Yet there is no transparency or paper trail to show where these funds are actually going. I have been concerned and digging for the last 12 months. Myself and numerous families have been asking for a detailed budget of our campuses, and yet we are provided with a few Excel rows that include things like other materials as a budget line item. This does not offer much confidence. As a stakeholder, I want to know that whoever is responsible for the seeming alleged financial hardships we're facing is held accountable and potentially removed. The punishment of those decisions should not fall to families, teachers, or the staff of Green Systems, but those who ultimately make the decisions about our finances and who give their approval for our budgets. I want you to know that justice and integrity and transparency need to prevail from the top down, and it needs to begin now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Erb. The next person that I have is Alicia Laird. I don't see her on the list, so we will come back to her if we have time. The person after that will be Kaylin Remington.
Hi, I wanted to focus mostly about our about academics and the fact that that seems to be something that our school is no longer focusing on, as we don't have a continuity in curriculum across all of our campuses. I actually don't even know what the curriculum is at the Simpsonville campus. And there's no way to check that on the website because it doesn't really function for us as enrolled parents. I also wanted to point out the fact that there is no school performance committee on the board, no academic committee that is consistently monitoring and reporting how the schools are doing, how the students are doing, how the teachers are doing as far as growth and development. And I also wanted to point out that we don't even know, we're supposed to be a STEM school, but we don't even know
Make sure you have
how many people, how many faculty members are certified, if we have any in our schools. Currently, the Simpsonville campus, I don't know of any elementary STEM initiatives happening or programs or extracurricular activities. There's no focus on technology instruction. Our GT teacher is sometimes used to substitute teach in other classes, which changes the schedules and makes our kid either totally miss GT and have to make it up later. We aren't implementing reading initiatives that have been promised in our Read to Succeed program, and we also are lacking in resources, as everyone has pointed out. And worse is our head office is hurting our instructors, our teachers, and that is the absolute only reason we are at Green are the teachers. Because currently with a new school that has very little resources, and a lot of the resources parents, the early parents, the original parents are having to pay for them. I'm already afraid. We've already lost an important IEP instructor because of what has been done, and I want to see them out, basically. So if we could return to a focus on academics and how we actually support that, although I don't know what good that's going to do now. But so yes, ditto everybody else. Amazing job. If anyone wants to start a school, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Remington. Sorry, everyone. COVID hit our house last week, so. The next speaker that I have is Catherine Hollis.
We have 220 people here now.
Hey, Caitlin. Yes, can you hear me?
Sorry, Caitlin.
Yeah, no worries. So I am absolutely going to just repeat basically what everybody else has said because I want to say, first of all, that I adore our school. I love our teachers. I love our staff. I love everything that we have going on. They are amazing. So all of the issues that I have heard has been with funding cuts, janitors either being fired or walked out, teachers' retirement cuts. The substitutes are no longer allowed to be able to sub for the teachers. And so the teachers have to find their subs among the split among the other classes, or they have to go to their related arts teachers. And in my opinion, that just absolutely lowers morale. And it just kind of wonders, the teachers are going to be wondering while they're trying to educate our children if they're the next on the chopping block, which cannot be great for morale and ultimately can't be great for our children's education. There's no special education services as they completely cut it. And first they cut all the substitutes, and then all of the single person that's left there that's handling all of the IEPs, which were over 40 IEPs within the school. She has ultimately been let go or put in a position where she has had to quit, which is awful. And then just ultimately, there's just been no communication to the parents. All of this has been communicated to me via parents who have been volunteering in the school daily or through a parent chat that we have. I mean, there's just been no communication, which has been ultimately frustrating because I work a full-time job. I'm not able to be there all the time, but I have a vested interest in my child's education. And I know that this is just completely going to affect her. It's been very frustrating. I don't know why there's been funding cuts. I don't know why there's been no communication. I don't know why the support system for our children has been just pulled out from under them. And it's just been like no transparency. It's been very frustrating. Like I love the education from the teachers that my kid has been getting, but I feel like it's just going to fail if there's just no support system for them and they just feel like they have no security. I've experienced that in a preschool previously for one of my children, and I would hate to see that happen to this school, because so far everything that we've had has been great, and it's frustrating to see this go downhill so quickly. And if there's anything that we as parents can do, we just need open communication ultimately to be able to support them. So I just feel like that's been the most frustrating part about all of this. So I just want to reiterate everything that everybody has said. They have been so well spoken and everything. I think the main point of what we're getting is like, why are we getting these funding cuts? And we just would really appreciate open communication about everything that's happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hollis. Uh, I have, Melissa, I messed this up, Broski.
Hi, sorry. Couldn't do the microphone. Yes, it's Brosky. And I just want to say that pretty much it's a little bit of the same with the transparency. It's getting old really quick. It's really frustrating. I have 3 kids in green schools. I have 1 in high school and 2 in Simpsonville in the 3rd grade. And my big problem right now is with IEPs. Honestly, my 2 boys have IEPs, and I am getting 0 communication, 0 transparency, 0 help. And I'm really frustrated. I mean, IEPs have timelines, they have deadlines. It's unacceptable, is really what it is. It's unacceptable. And my son is already behind. One of my sons, I have twins, but one had leukemia and he missed almost 2 years of school. He's in remission and he's great, and and he's amazing. But he does have some learning disabilities, and what hurts the most right now is that the special ed teacher that is at Simpsonville right now, she's leaving. He learned how to read. He read. I watched him read a book because of her. And she's leaving. Friday will be her last day. She taught my son how to read because she told me to buy a chapter book for dyslexic children. And now she's leaving because we're not gonna meet her retirement. That's absurd. That's absurd. I don't even have any words for that. Honestly. We have to do better. Really. So now, what about the other 47 kids that have IEPs? They're all gonna lose her. Mid-year, they're gonna lose this teacher who's incredible. It's not like, it's like a family, Green is kind of like a family. You can't just fire people like it's nothing. Last year was so different. Last year was so incredible. The principal, man, she's amazing. You know, the administration, they're amazing. We saw them all the time, talk to them all the time. Now, they are so busy. They're so overwhelmed. Nobody sees them. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can't overwork people. You can't. It's not right. It's terrible. It's very sad.
Thank you for your
Thank
comments.
you.
I'm afraid your time is up. Thank you, though. Thank you. Um, I have two more speakers and I want to get through these last two and then we will move on to the rest of our meeting. That way everyone will have, that had signed up, will have opportunity. The next one is Lauren Rappaport.
Okay, can you all hear me? Yes, okay, cool. Um, people seem to have a lot of questions and I am just requesting that the executive leadership host an open Q&A meeting for all stakeholders in January of next year. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Rappaport. Sorry, I'm just taking a lot of notes, so give me a second. All right, and our last speaker is Joanna Appel.
Hi. So I'm a parent of 3 students at the Simpsonville campus. This is our second year as a Green Charter family, so we're still fairly new, but my family feels like we've finally found our home here at Green Charter. We absolutely love the community, and I really everyone pretty much said the words that I want to say, and so for the risk of just being redundancy, I really just want to hopefully wrap this up so we can move on. My goal tonight is to implore that this school remains a sustainable, safe, and supportive environment for our children and their amazing teachers and staff that we've had the opportunity to learn and grow with. My statement's going to be brief because we're still learning our way around the Green community, but I feel compelled to speak up on behalf of my children, their teachers, staff, and friends. I would like to express my deep concern regarding the current allocation of the school's financial resources. We're witnessing a troubling shift where significant funds appear. And I say appear because, as previous speakers have said, we're left to surmise and postulate in the absence of information and this lack of transparency. So the funds appear to be directed toward administrative legal expenses, while our campuses are simultaneously losing essential support staff. And the impact of these financial decisions is visible in our children's daily lives. We've seen a reduction in custodial staff, cafeteria support, to where our principal is serving, working in the cafeteria to help keep that going. And also with our substitute teachers. It's reached a point where my own middle schooler shared with me that students are feeling the need to take on custodial responsibilities to keep their learning environment clean. So while I believe in teaching children responsibility, students shouldn't be fulfilling operational gaps caused by financial strain. When the budget prioritizes extensive legal cost over the hiring of essential staff and the retention of Green's incredible teachers, the mission of the school is compromised. So I'm asking Green Charter leadership to realign their priorities. We ask you that you stop prioritizing the defense of administrative liabilities and obscure agendas and start prioritizing the teachers standing in front of our children and the support staff who keep the buildings running. Please put the students and the financial health of the school first so that families like mine can continue to call Green Charter home with confidence. We adore Green and we can't imagine having to rehome our children yet again should things continue to progress in the direction that things seem to be heading. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Appel. Okay, I think that is everyone who had signed up by the deadline. So took a lot of notes. Thank you all. I wanted, sorry. Not that many years ago, I was a parent sitting exactly where you are, speaking up at a board meeting. When I joined this board, I had no idea what I was getting into. I'm still a parent speaking at a board meeting, but it's a little bit different situation. But I know what it's like, what it takes, and not just parent. We had staff members step up tonight too, and I want you to know how much I appreciate you doing this, how much I appreciate all of you taking your time to do this. I know that every bit of it comes from the heart, and every bit of it is because you want the best for your children and for everyone else's children and for the staff and the teachers. And I hope you know that I also feel the same way. And I'm speaking for the rest of the board here, but I think they would agree that we all want to see Green succeed. We all want to see our students and our staff members and our teachers succeed. So thank you all for speaking up tonight, and thank you all for being here. Now I'm going to get to the normal kind of boring part of the meeting. And give me just a moment to pull the rest of my agenda. And I'm sorry about my voice. Like I said, unfortunately, we got hit with COVID last week in our house. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the approval of tonight's agenda. Board members, can I please have a motion to approve?
I'll approve.
Thank you, Laurel. Can I please have a second?
A second.
We'll give it to Josh. Thanks, Josh. All board members in favor, please say aye and raise your hands because I can see some of you.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Josh, I heard you. Gary, are you on here? Thought I saw him, but there's a big list. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the November 13th meeting that was circulated by Ms. Wiles last week. Is there anyone, or can I have a motion to approve these minutes?
So
Motion.
Thanks. I'll say Trishka has the first and Josh, you can have the second. All in favor, or does anyone have any changes? Anyone from the board, do you have any changes to this minutes as were circulated? Okay, seeing none, board members all in favor, please say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
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 Gary, if you're out there, I'm counting you as not out there because I can't hear you or see you. Sorry for it's hard when we have board members that are in Columbia and board members that are in Charleston and board members who have a kid with COVID. So it makes these meetings very difficult. But we're going to proceed as if Gary is not here.
Gary
and not
is
voting.
here.
He what?
Gary is on the list.
Yeah, I see him on the list, but I don't hear or see a vote from him, so I can't count that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will go to someone who I know is on the list because I just saw him. Well, he was on here. Chance, are you on here? Chance from Copper?
Yes, I'm on here.
All right. Chance, I know this is a big audience, but the board is here, and we would like for you to please give us your brief financial overview to the board and explain where things are standing for us right now, please, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chance Massey, and I'm a CPA partner at Copper Advisors. And we're assisting the school now with some high-level financial analysis, and we're going to first start with our fiscal 2025 results, and then we'll move into where fiscal 2026 is sitting, some positives and also some challenges that the school is facing at the moment. First, I'd like to say that part of my role with the schools that I work with is to analyze from a bond covenant perspective what the requirements are for your school to meet in order to be in compliance with your bond. The 2021 bond that the school has is at a great interest rate. it actually, when I analyze this school as an overall network, and I look at the debt payment for principal and interest, even inclusive of the new bond that was issued, it's around 10% or less of gross revenue. And I've seen some schools as high as 16 or 18%. So you will find that the benchmark typically can be around 15, but it's a great 2021 bond. And the debt payments the school has are about 10% of where we anticipate revenue being, which is a good benchmark. I say all that to say part of my role in the call that I have tomorrow with the investors, part of my role is to analyze the school's activity to ensure we're in line with two covenants that the school has to adhere to. One being a debt service coverage ratio, which means we essentially have to do a certain level of activity in order to meet that covenant, and also some days cash on hand, which is available unrestricted cash, which we're going to talk about in just a second. For 2025, for the fiscal 2025 audit, the school had a 1.24 debt service coverage ratio. What does that mean? That means that we were in excess of the 1.1, but not by much. 1.24 met the 1.1. The school also had 51 days cash on hand. The requirement there is 45. So it doesn't take, if you look at fiscal 2024 and then analyze that versus this last fiscal year that just ended in June of 2025, the one major differences between the 2 years is around the available unrestricted cash. And a large part of the challenge that this school is facing in terms of the cash is that upon opening the Simpsonville location, typically when if a network is going to open a new school, typically there's a bond issuance. And when there's a bond issuance, that's going to have different sources and uses. Part of the sources would be to purchase the property itself. Part of it would be for improvements and that type of thing. There was no bond issued to get Simpsonville up and running. And when it was discovered that there was an HVAC concern that would need to be addressed prior to that campus opening, this school took it on to fund that. And that call to get Simpsonville up and running and operational was there were over $4 million. There was over $4 million in capital outlay that needed to be expended to get Simpsonville up and running. I visited that school. I actually had a one-day session that I met with some administrators and just hoping to everyone to get an understanding of enrollment and that type of thing. But that is largely what has caused a bit of a cash flow crunch that this school is experiencing right now. To alleviate that, we're going to talk about we're going to move into fiscal 26. So for fiscal 25, we met both of our numbers. Wasn't great, but certainly not as good as fiscal 2024, but we met the numbers. The large cash that was necessary to fund the capital outlay to get Simpsonville up and running and is what has really restricted the school's available unrestricted cash. Now, if anybody was to look at the balance sheet or look at the audit that's out there, you'll see two forms of cash. One is restricted, the school cannot expend because it's cash that's held in debt service reserve and that type of thing. And the other is available unrestricted cash. Opening of the Simpsonville office did put a significant damper on the operational cash. So when we started fiscal 2026, there's two things also. There's another thing also around cash, just so we can talk real briefly about how charter schools and other schools get funded. Green as a network is experiencing an increase in enrollment this fiscal year. However, schools get funded in July and August based on their prior 135-day count numbers. So for any schools that have, and this is something that there's a proposal that I have out there where I'm certainly advocating for additional funding for charter schools, for timing of resources and potential funding of growth. But if you think about it, Green has had to fund that growth from the growth in enrollment based on a 135-day count, which has caused a little bit more pressure on our cash reserves. So we started this fiscal year. There are a number of counts that dictate when funding occurs for a fiscal year for a charter school. One being a 5-day, one being a 45, and one being a 135-day. Our 5-day count for fiscal 26 was 2,923. That was about 230 higher than the prior fiscal year. So we have a growth in enrollment, and that is a positive. Certainly is a positive. The challenge that we are facing is that when we projected and when the budget was done, it was done off enrollment of 3,110. So the difference in the 3110, the 2923, that by the time our 45-day count numbers came out, some cuts were going to be necessary for us to meet our 1.1 debt service coverage ratio that we talked about earlier. And so that's why, the school has initiated some cuts, and accounts payable has ballooned a bit as we're navigating the cash flow crunch. But on Wednesday of this week, there will be there's a line of credit that's going to be executed that will allow us to clear some significant outstanding balances. And again, we're projecting that the school will need to utilize that line of credit to be able to meet the day's cash on hand. But we're currently developing a plan, projection, and forecast to restore fund balance, to restore available unrestricted cash on hand, and to make it to where this line of credit that we're putting in place isn't necessary into the future. So those things are being done. We're analyzing that. And also based on the projected revenue and after the cuts were initiated, we are anticipating the school will navigate fiscal 26 meeting their debt service coverage ratio, and also will be able to meet their days cash on hand covenant as well while utilizing a portion of the line of credit. So it's not guaranteed at the moment. However, we are showing that we should be able to meet those covenants post cuts. And cuts, again, cuts are never easy. These are significant decisions that the school had to make. But some cuts were necessary because of the enrollment miss in order for the school to meet their debt service coverage ratio for this fiscal year. So I hope that's been, hope at a high level that's been informative. And I'm sure we're going to have a few questions as we move to executive session.
All right, thank you, Chance. The one question that I have while we are here is there have been a lot of rumors online and a lot of talk. There are people that say that Green's getting ready to close the doors.
No.
Can you please reassure people that we are not closing the doors in the
No.
next few weeks?
Green is not going to close the doors December or January. Again, there were several other large charter networks that obtain line of credits that the school is obtaining right now to make sure that we can clear some of these large accounts payable items. However, no, there's no plan, and based on the projections that we're doing right now, we are showing that Green is going to restore their fund balance and restore their available cash reserves within the next 12 to 18 months. The one thing that I would like to say, there is this can be posted on the board, but there are surveys out there, and there's also some communication that parents and teachers and everyone, I would urge you to analyze some of these reports that are coming out, and some of the, send some emails to the legislators and to others that are analyzing, because I'm working hard to protect revenue and charter school funding in South Carolina. And I think that with your voice as well, we can get we can maybe do some things that will help increase the funding for charter schools, certainly relative to some of the public school districts.
Right, because we get a significantly less amount per pupil than a traditional public school, even though we are a public charter school.
That is correct. The school, based on the fiscal 2025 numbers that were out, it's about $12,900 inclusive of local, state, and federal is the revenue that charter schools get. Just as an example, when you analyze this report, and this report can be posted on the school's website for anyone to analyze, but I believe Greenville County is up over 16,000 per pupil, inclusive of federal, state, and local. Charleston County School District's above 20,000. So we're in challenging territory, But it's something that we, together can work together, can plan better for the future. We're going to start some high level budgeting analysis in January, and this year there will be a significant effort towards projecting, budgeting. I kind of have an idea of where revenue may land per pupil next year, but we'll be very conservative in our estimates for enrollment and do a much better job. So.
Thank you, Chance.
Sure.
Okay. With that, that concludes the first part of our meeting where we are in public. We are now going to move into executive session. Again, as I stated at the beginning of the call, we don't move into executive session lightly. I don't like moving into executive session, but it is a necessity at times, and it is a necessity for us to move into it right now. I don't know how long we're going to be in executive session, but we will come back into public session if there is anything that we need to vote on, because we don't vote in executive session. So we will have to vote to move into executive session at this time. So can I please have a vote to move into executive session? I see you, Laurel. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right, Stephanie, I've got you. All in favor, board members, please say aye and raise your hand. Aye. All right, we are moving into executive session at 8:08 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Trying to see all of the other board members are jumping on. At 1, 2. Okay, I think everyone is here. I'm sorry, but I'm having internet issues where my camera is going, so I am gonna have to be off camera, but I hope everyone can hear me. It is 11:23 p.m. and we are out of executive session. We are not taking any action at this time, nor we are voting on anything at this time, but I would like to explain some things and give you an update on what we're going to be doing next month. We heard from all of you tonight. We also heard from our financial partner, and we heard from our executive director in executive session. And we have a lot of information that we have had to parse through to figure out what we can do to make it transparent for you again. And I can't at 11:24 p.m. wave a magic wand and fix that for you. But I can tell you this. Someone had a really great suggestion that we host an open Q&A meeting, and that is something that we are working to set up next month. I can't tell you exactly the specific day or time because we're going to have to figure the logistics out, especially considering the number of campuses that we have and the number of people that I know will want to come. This is something that I hope everyone will be able to come and get their questions answered and be reassured that I'm not giving up on Green, and I don't want you guys to give up on Green. Um, I very much believe that we can work together and we can find the answers to get you the information that you need and to be as openly communicative and transparent going forward as can be. We are also looking at a different way that we can structure our finance accountability. But we need more information from that before we can make any kind of decisions. So for right now, what I will say to you is this. I see you, Mr. Let Us Talk, and I want to let you talk. But I want to let you talk in a way that we can all get the information that we need and that we can be respectful and positive about what we can do going forward. I can't do a whole lot about things that have been done in the past, but what I can say, and the board feels this way, I feel like I'm confident in speaking for the rest of the board right now that we are really focused on continuing the mission of this school, continuing to make it as great as we can, and making sure that we earn your trust back, that the school earns your trust back, because we all want to see it succeed. All of us do. And I mean, there wouldn't be 114 people on a call at 11:30 at night unless they believed in green and they want it to succeed. So I will end with that. I will end with a thank you for all being here tonight. And I will say to you that I hope that everyone gets rest and has a great holiday season. And we'll see you next month. Thank you all. Can I please get a motion to adjourn from a board member? All right, we're adjourned at 11:27 p.m.